I made my first video on Into the Radius over 3 months ago, and since then I've been very slowly working my way through the story. Truth be told, I've been right on the edge of unlocking the last mission for about a month and a half now, but I haven't. For my explanation of why to make sense, you first need to understand that I've gotten pretty attached to the two actual characters in this game, them being Kadia and Explorer 61. And even though I've managed to avoid all spoilers for this game, I still know that there's no way in hell that Explorer 61 is getting a happy ending. That's why I was kinda hesitant to finish the game, because I know a character I like is going to either die or get condemned in some way. And as sad as that is, there's actually another reason too, and that's that Into the Radius' story is the only thing that kept me playing over the past couple months. And once I beat it, it'll be over. I know what you're thinking. Why don't you just start a new save file? And while that is what I would normally do, that might not be an option soon.
A sense of displacement, disorientation, memory loss, ataxia, and visual auditory hallucinations. Please remain calm.
I have those every day though, so it's really not that different. It did not take long at all for me to realize how buggy this game has become. The first mission I had to do to unlock the end of the game was the simplest type of mission you can go on. All I had to do was go into Perfume route and grab one anomaly. However, I had to abort that mission because the anomaly detector doesn't work anymore. It can still reveal anomalies with the little strobe light thing at the top, but it can't detect anything, so that's kinda pointless. And if you thought the detector was the only thing that didn't work anymore, you'd be very wrong, because it was on the same mission that I found out that telekinesis isn't a thing anymore. So now, if you drop something in the game, you better hope that you set your floor level right, because if you didn't, it's gone forever. Oh, never had that happen before. What? Why is it turning like that? Oh no. What is going on? Why do I not have telekinesis? This game is bugged the hell out. Okay, well, I guess any mission involving a detector's off the table, concerning the fact that the detector just doesn't work anymore. But I tried not to let any of that get me down, and I pushed forward, eventually unlocking the final mission, which sent me to Petrorsk Castle, which is one of the most beautiful and horrifying places I've seen in this game. The whole place is cloaked in a deep red that gives it kind of a Beauty and Rage album cover vibe. I know very few of my viewers will understand what I just said, but that's fine. Where the terror comes in is the sheer amount of enemies the game throws at you once you get into the castle. Look, I know I complained about the amount of enemies in the train yard, but now, after going through the castle, I have to admit that I was being naive. Whereas before, there was more enemies than there was trees in the radius, now there's more enemies than there are subscribers to my YouTube channel. Which isn't a lot, but it seems like a lot more when you really have to fight them all. Is he just stuck? Will he ever get out of that position? Oh, it was a trick. A dirty trick. So I'd get out of my covered position. Okay, so they made the enemy's AI smarter than most real-life people. Eventually, after a long time of clearing out the castle, I made it to a set of stairs. At the top of those stairs was the last room in the game, and as I worked my way up, I got murked by a mimic. Oh, I died. Okay, I mean, that's not that big of a deal. I mean, after all, the game did autosave right before I got to the stairs, so I can just reload that. Oh. Shit. Now, I'll be the first to admit, I was raging pretty hard when this happened, but then I remembered that my last manual save wasn't that long ago, so I reloaded that one. And do you want to guess what happened? I got stuck in another wall. At least this time I wasn't falling to my death, so that's a plus, I think. Instead of doing what I did last time, which was panic and cry, I came up with a much better solution, and that was to simply press the built-in unstuck button Into the Radius has in its menu. And as you can probably guess, that didn't work either. However, what did end up working was spamming the unstuck button until eventually the game lagged so hard that I was able to clip back through the wall. And it just threw me off the castle. And I died. Okay, well, I think we're getting somewhere. And after all of that, I made it to the top of the castle, and was greeted by an empty room with nothing in it besides a pedestal. Of course, my first response was to go into full-on despair, because I assumed that there was supposed to be something on the pedestal that a bug made disappear, but then, out of nowhere, I remembered that the detector doesn't work anymore, which means that there could very well be an anomaly on the pedestal that I just didn't see. So I pointed the anomaly detector, and pulled the trigger. Wait, am I supposed to do the thing? I did it! Kadia, where are you? Why are you all over the place? The end of this game is pretty much exactly what I was expecting. You have to choose between saving yourself and saving Kadia. If you've seen any of my other Into the Radius videos, you would know which one I picked.
Time for you to say adios.
While I definitely have my criticisms with this ending, I'm not gonna bother listing all of them. Instead, I think I should explain why this video is so sad for me to make. You might not have been able to tell, but I've been pretty sad throughout this entire voiceover. And it's because this is my last Into the Radius video. And that's because Into the Radius is dying. Don't get me wrong, it still has a very active player base. It's just the devs have abandoned it. They're too busy working on Into the Radius 2 to fix any of the Into Radius 1 bugs. And trust me, it gets buggier and buggier every single day. And eventually it won't be playable anymore. But anyway, if you're an Into the Radius player and you've been experiencing any of these bugs, please comment them to me. I'm very curious to see what other living nightmares people are experiencing. But besides that, I truly hope that you have a fantastic day, and I will see you next week.
Explorer number 61, wherever you are, even if you are only in my mind now, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I decided I was going to make that choice since the very beginning, because I knew that this game was going to do that. I predicted it down to the wire.